Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something that I've been wanting to do for ages, but I just haven't got around to doing it. But it's a review on our recent Disneyland Paris trip. We went to Disneyland at the end of April, and it was the 31st of March, we went, which was Mother's Day. It was the best Mother's Day ever, and we stayed for 4 nights. So I thought I would just do a video to say what we thought about the hotel, about the parks, about the food, and any other bits and pieces. So if you'd like to hear what we thought, then keep watching. Okay, as I said, we went on the 31st of March till Thursday the 4th of April. We went just outside the Easter holidays, which meant that 1, it was a lot cheaper, and 2, the parks were a lot quieter. So we weren't queuing for rides, you didn't feel like you were overcrowded. These were all things that I'd heard about when I'd done some research into the trip, things that you would want to try and avoid. So if you can, if you're planning a trip, I would recommend trying to go outside of school holidays, because it does make a massive difference. So we stayed in the Newport Bay hotel. Like I said, we were there for 4 nights. I was worried that 4 nights was going to be too much and we'd end up getting bored. That wasn't the case at all. I mean, by the time we'd got there on the Sunday, we drove and it took us about 6 hours door to door. We got there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so by the time we'd checked in, got to our room and got ourselves sorted and got to the park, you know, the majority of the day was done. So I don't really count that as a day, to be honest. So we had, I'd say, you know, 4.5 days in the park, and we still didn't do everything. We didn't go on all the rides and we didn't see any of the shows. Some rides we did go on more than once because we really enjoyed them, but if you're worried about the length of time when it comes to booking a trip, I would say that 3 nights is probably the minimum if it's the first time that you've been there, because there is just so much to do. Okay, so we stayed in Newport Bay Hotel. I'd done a lot of research, and by research I mean watching a lot of YouTube videos regarding all the different hotels, and when it came to booking, it came down to either Newport Bay or Sequoia Lodge. Now the reason I chose Newport Bay over Sequoia Lodge in the end was because Sequoia Lodge, their pool was out of action, and they did say on the website that we could go to Newport Bay, but I didn't really fancy trekking from one hotel to the next to just use the pool. So that's what that's what made our decision for us, really. I didn't know at the time that Newport Bay was a conference hotel, so it was really busy. The hotel reception, the foyer area, was always filled with lots of people. I don't know if every Disney hotel is like that. I'm only going on the one that I've stayed in. While we were there were signs up. There was I think some local schools were doing some sort of examination there. There were signs for exams. So yeah, it was very busy. But I can't actually fault the hotel really. When we pulled up, it looked very impressive. It was that old, what do they call it, New England style. All the staff that worked there were so friendly and helpful and couldn't do enough for you. My only criticism was that on the floor where the hotel reception is, you then need to go downstairs to the restaurants, and also downstairs is where you can exit onto where the lake is and you walk down to the park. Now, there was only one lift that would take you downstairs. You know what, there may have been more lifts, but they weren't clearly marked, and every day there was often a queue to get in this lift because the lift was tiny, and you had lots of families there that all had to push chairs, and they didn't want to obviously carry them up and down the stairs, which is fair enough. So that would be, yeah, my only criticism. As for the other facilities, the restaurants were lovely. The buffets that they put on for breakfast and for dinner was great. You had a huge choice of food. The swimming pool was okay. It wasn't great. It was a good size, and what I did like was they had bits and pieces in the pool for children to use. They had noodles and floats, and they also had these really good swim seats for babies, so that was really, really handy. But if you looked around, there were just the little things, you know, it could have needed a lick of paint here and there, but now I'm just being really picky. But at the end of the day, these hotels are really expensive, and it costs a lot of money to stay there, so you don't want to see somewhere that looks a bit shabby. And I'm not saying that the rest of the hotel looked like that at all. The rest of the hotel was beautiful and immaculate. It was just parts of the swimming pool area I just thought they could have done with sprucing it up a bit. As for our room, I think the room sizes, unless you pay extra and get a family room, then the room sizes are standard, are pretty standard in each hotel. When I looked online, although the decor was different and the theming was different, the actual layout of the room itself was the same in Santa Fe, in Hotel Cheyenne, in Sequoia Lodge, and where we stayed in Newport Bay. The room sizes were okay. You know, we were only there at night time. Had we been there throughout the day, then it would have felt probably a little bit claustrophobic. But once you've been at the parks all day and you've watched the illuminations, is that what they're called? Yeah. You know, you get back to your room and you're tired, you just want to go to bed, and then you wake up in the morning and you're sort of excited and you rush off out. So you don't really spend hardly any time at all in your room apart from sleeping. Right, now let's get on to the main bit, the actual parks themselves. So the Disneyland park was amazing. We were traveling, myself, my partner and 3 children. We've got a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old and a 9-month-old, and everybody, including us adults, I think even me probably the most, just found it mesmerizing. Just attention to detail. It is really, really magical, and there's so much to do for everybody. We took our 9-month-old on lots of rides. She loved Small World, Peter Pan's Flight. We took her on the teacups. Then my son, the 13-year-old, he's a daredevil, and he liked Rock and Roller Coaster, Hyperspace Mountain, Crush's Coaster, basically all the roller coasters. So yeah, there's definitely something for everyone. We watched the parade once, that was fantastic. We had a really good spot. I would advise getting there quite early because it does get busy. And like I said at the start of this video, when we went, the parks weren't as busy as they usually are because we were outside of school holidays. So I could imagine a week later, if you wanted to watch the parade, it would have been really quite tricky and you would have probably felt quite claustrophobic. But we had a good spot on Main Street, and yeah, we watched everyone go by, waving at everyone. We had some good interaction. Yeah, it was lovely. Every time I think about it, I just get a bit wistful. I just want to go back. So Hollywood Studios, is that what it's called? I didn't rate this park as much as the main park, and I've recently heard that the Walt Disney Company are investing, I forget how much, you know, lots and lots of money into this park, and that's good because it does need it. You walk through and it just, to me, didn't have that same magical feel as the main park. There are some fantastic rides there that were great fun, but it just seemed to lack a little something. I would like to go back and see what it's like once, you know, it's been refurbished and had some money injected into it and perhaps brought it a bit more up to date. I think a good example of something was when Stuart and the kids were all on the Aladdin carpet ride, and I was waiting with Evie, and there just wasn't anywhere where you could sit and watch the ride. There wasn't much seating area all over the park. There was in certain areas there were, but in then other areas nothing. While we were there, two of the rides that I really wanted to go on were closed. The Dumbo flying elephants were closed, and to me the Dumbo ride is such an iconic Disney ride. I was just gutted that I couldn't say I'd been on it, but then it, you know, just gives us another reason to go back. And the other ride that was closed for refurbishment was Phantom Manor. You could see it when you were on Big Thunder Mountain, and at night it looked amazing. It just looked like, you know, this really creepy house on the hill. I can't wait to go back and see what it's like. For our food options, we had the food, what's it called? The Full Board Plus. I wouldn't get this again, to be honest. It's just too much food at the end of the day. So you have your breakfast at the hotel, which is a buffet breakfast, and then with the Full Board Plus, it's all table service restaurants, and you have a starter, a main course and a dessert. Now if you've had a 3-course meal at lunchtime, you're not going to want a 3-course meal later on in the evening. So next time we go back, I think I would just go for half board. I think the amount of food that you get, that would be absolutely fine. My one criticism of the food was that there wasn't much variation on the menus. My daughter is a vegetarian, and if you didn't want to have the chicken on the child's meal menu, then the only other option was tomato. The reason I really liked this restaurant was because the menu, we didn't understand. This was our first night we went for dinner, or our second night, and we had a look at the menu. There was a veggie burger on there that my daughter wanted to get. We all picked our various bits and pieces, and then when the waiter came over to take our order, we told him the items that we'd like, and he said, sorry, you can't have that on the plus food package that we'd got. But they were then really accommodating. He said, let me see what I can do. He said, and he basically said to us, it's fine, you can order what you want. So they were really helpful, and yeah, it was just a really nice touch. The other restaurants that I would recommend going to are Chez Remy's. That's fantastic. You do feel like you're shrunk down into the size of a mouse. The attention to detail in there is just brilliant. And also Captain Jack's, and the food at Captain Jack's was really nice. It was just a bit different to everywhere else. Now, we did have 2 character meals booked. We had breakfast with Mickey and friends, and again, the buffet style breakfast was fantastic. Such a huge selection of food. You just wouldn't, there was something for everyone. There was no way anyone would come away from there not feeling satisfied. But also you get to meet characters and have a bit of one-on-one time with them and get your photos taken. While we were there, we met Piglet, Eeyore, Tigger, Daisy Duck, Scrooge Duck, and the main man himself, Mickey. So that was really exciting. My daughter had her autograph book. She was getting all the autographs. We also went for lunch at Cinderella'S Castle. Now, there is a proper name for it. I don't know how you pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. Out of the 2 character meals that we paid for, I would say the princess lunch at Cinderella'S Castle was better, only because you felt like you had a lot more time with the characters. They were a lot more chatty and you just had a bit more one-on-one. We got to meet a few of the princesses, had our photos taken, had a chat. It was really good fun. The food was lovely. I wouldn't say exactly child-friendly food, but I can really recommend the glowtinis. I had one of those, that was great. And also where we had character interaction was at Captain Jack's. He was going around all the tables and he spoke to us for a while. He was really quite funny. I have my daughter in hysterics. And the good thing about Captain Jack's is it's not one of the ones that you have to pay extra for. I don't know if he's there all the time, if we were just lucky, but it was just a nice treat to see him. So yeah, we got his autograph too. While we were there, we had the photo pass package. This is something that I would definitely not do again. I think we paid an extra £60 for this, and so you're given this pass, and at the end of a ride you can go up and scan it and you have all your photos, and they're kept basically on a cloud, and when you get home you can print them off. I just don't really think it's worth the money, because in lots of the photos you can't really see your face because other people have got their hands up, or they're just not great photos. Where we had the character interaction, we were taking our own photos. Now, I did see people queuing up to meet the characters throughout the park, and they often had photographers with them then, so that could have been worth it. But then you can just ask the photographer to use your own camera. You don't have to use their cameras. Knowing what I know now, I really wouldn't do the Photo Pass Plus again. It's just not for us. So that was our Disneyland Paris review. If you're planning a trip there, then I hope you found this helpful. I would love to know if you're going and where you're staying. I really, like I said, I can't wait to go back. I want to go back at Halloween, and I really am such a big kid. I really want to meet Jack Skellington and Maleficent. yeah, they're my two favourites. So I'll have to start planning another trip, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.